What's up, everybody? So, some pretty interesting news coming out of the DCU, where James Gunn and Peter Safran are basically steering the ship now for DC. And so far, so good. I mean, what really the piece of news that came out is the timeline of, you can say, maybe the phase one of whatever process they're in with this particular, long form storyline that they're going for. So it's Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, Lanterns, and Supergirl. And everything happens in chronological order. So there's no prequels, there's no in-betweenquels or anything like that, which I think is a really smart move. I mean, say what you want about, the DCEU. One thing it was not was consistent or coherent, and I think that has a lot to do with the people behind the scenes at the studio really just wanting to catch up with whatever it is that the MCU was doing. And instead of just trying to make the best stories they can and create a body of work that the audiences respond to, really it was just about, oh, they're making this much money, we have to make this much money as well. We need to get just as much attention or more. And I think that's the reason why things were just such a cluster, with everything that was happening with those movies. I mean, say what you want about Zack Snyder. I'm a big Zack Snyder defender. I'm a fan of his. I'm not an apologist, but I do enjoy his work as a director, even though I can completely 100% say that some of his stuff is really not good. But I appreciate the attempts. I appreciate the just going for it and trying to be original, but still in some way stay true to the lore of, in this case, Superman. I love the changes that he made. I thought they made a lot of sense. I thought it made it a little bit more digestible to the average viewer. The main thing that I think should be his lasting legacy as far as Superman is concerned, well, actually two things. One, Henry Cavill, who I contend is the best Superman. Although I don't compare him to Christopher Reeves, because he's in a category all by himself. He's special. But since then, I would say he is the best Superman, and he also has the best Superman suit. I just, for some reason, I just can't get past the red underwear on top of the pants. It works for comics. It does not work once you get to live action territory. So I'm a little bit bummed that James Gunn brought it back because it just looks ridiculous. Although from the trailer, and if you've seen my video on the trailer, you know that I think it looks promising. It looks great. I mean, David Cornsweet, it looks like he's doing a great job. I like some of the choices that he's making. I like how he's presenting himself as Superman. So I look forward to this. And it really looks like that it's something coherent. It's something that's easy to kind of just go with. And from what it looks like, the timeline between projects is enough to not have the audience feel like they have to do some homework before they do something else. Supergirl, even though they're done filming, from what I understand, it's not coming out until I think early 26. And so we saw a photo of the Lanterns series that is going to be on HBO. And look, as far as the Lantern show, I didn't like why that was chosen as the first photo. I guess they wanted to have a more grounded feel to it, and okay. But based on James Gunn's track record as a storyteller, I put my faith in him. He's always done great work. So I don't think there's going to be, a drastic drop off, now that, he's the creative director of DC. And I really loved the casting choice of Aaron Pierre. If you haven't seen Rebel Ridge, please go check that out on Netflix. You get a preview of what of what his presence is on screen. And I think he's going to do a great job as Jon Stewart. Kyle Chandler is also in there. Love me some Kyle Chandler, just one of the great character actors. So I like that he's getting a big push in a big time series like he is now. I was hoping he would have lasted a little bit longer in Mayor of Kingstown, but it is what it is. Freed him up to do Lantern, so that's great. I'm not so much into the animated stuff, so I didn't really pay too much attention to Creature Commandos. I eventually will watch Superman, but the main thing is for me is I'm kind of, the whole Infinity Saga with the MCU, it was so big that, and everything else after that was kind of such a letdown that I need a break. I'm rooting for the DCU, but really I'm just rooting for great stories to be told. And I think for characters like Superman, Supergirl, Green Lantern that have stood the test of time through decades and generations, they need to be honored with great stories if they're going to be taken out of the comic book page and put onto the screen. So I'm rooting for that. Eventually I will get around to watching it because, I'm still a comic book fan. Comic book movie fan. Let me preface that. But I'm not going to be, first in line like I was for Infinity War and Endgame. I'll probably watch it, enjoy it, hopefully, and then move on with my day. I'm just rooting for a great success for all around because I think these characters and their fans deserve it. Anyways, what about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.